streaming. Okay. Um, that continues. That's good. Let's refresh this, see if this is working. Test. Cool. We'll go to creator dashboard, stream manager. I'll pull up my stream on YouTube. Okay. All right. We are good to go. Let's see. Is the YouTube chat the same link? No, it isn't. Oh, that's annoying. Why is there not a static link for YouTube streams? Okay. All right. We're all live. We're all good to go. So I did pretty quickly leave because I forgot what time it was, and I had to do something that evening or this evening. Yesterday, yeah, yesterday, 20 minutes. But I had the opportunity to math out the averages of our modifiers from D1 to 10 plus D4, and it is pretty good. There is one hiccup on the D10 because of D4 plus 1 being the half point, that it makes inferiority better than D12 by 0.35, which is annoying as fuck. But other than that, we're good to go all the way through. Everything looks pretty good. The superiority and inferiority are pretty exponential compared to everything else. Like, inferiority is so much lower. And superiority is so much higher. So if it becomes a problem of how easy it is to get to those, then I might curb it. But the idea is that these are going to kind of be a distribution curve in themselves. Like, standard roll is going to be your most likely by far. Then advantage and disadvantage will be like somewhat common. Then enhancement and impediment and superiority is super rare. And then inferiority and superiority is supposed to be very rare. So I might just remove inferiority and superiority, to be honest, because they're so extreme that they're rare and potentially hard to balance. But I kind of want to see if I can make them work for now, and also how easily people can trigger them. So, anyways, we have that out of the way. And now we were going to go back to... Oh, I need to do hidden. Telegraphed. Oh, okay, I can get rid of these. Hold on. We're going to go back to keywords. We're going to add a new one. Call it hidden. Paste it in there. There we go. And then we're going to highlight that yellow because I haven't read that since I last wrote it, and that's definitely out of date. And then we're going to go back to, we're going to add telegraphed. Also highlight that yellow. I'm sure there's going to be something that's telegraphed. And then we're going to get rid of these. Okay. I was thinking about this yesterday, And I'm trying to figure out if I should, which devil on my shoulder I should listen to. I currently have it so that when you dodge, if the dodge would take you, so the idea is that you move first and then you roll the agility check and subtract it from their result. And I'm wondering if I have it so that if you move outside the range of what would be the attack, you don't automatically dodge it. But I'm wondering if I should add that. Where you do actually just fully get out of the way. And I am not sure. I can't tell you. Because on one hand, I'm like, oh, that sounds super abusable. You know, just constantly, like, if you're a guy with range, you would just be poke, poke, and then dodge back, and then poke, poke, and then dodge back. But I don't know. I think it might work out because you should be able to move more than the 2 feet they can dodge backwards if you like really want to run in at them. And then similarly, it makes like, or inversely, if you've got like a big fuck off weapon, like a dwarven great hammer, and you go to swing it and they juke it, that would be that would make sense. So I don't know. um, I thought about making it a feat, and I might just make it a feat because that's the easiest way to do any of this balancing. Not really, but that's what I tell myself. So maybe I just do that. Okay. We don't need this anymore. That's all old. This is all old. That's old. We will have to read through this to make sure that this is right. So first off, I think we should just make this a keyword. Oh, map. Go back to here. Is there an initiative? Well, no, initiative works different now. It's now a stat. That wasn't a stat at the time. Okay, so we actually don't need that. And then principles. This is right. This was the rules, like the meta rules of what it says about the rules. If a feat or ability says you can when the rules say you can't, you can. If a feat says you can when another feat says you can't, you can't. Yeah, I think that's this should say when a feat or ability says you can, whenever another feat or ability says you can't, you can't. I should say action instead of ability. Ability doesn't have any context in the system. Is there any other principles I want to add? I don't think so. Basic ability checks. Each ability check is a roll using an associated stat or feat. Stat or feat? I mean, I guess if I like substitute skills in, then feat would do this. Probably just say use an associated stat, and we'll go later. When the game asks for a basic ability check, it will state something like roll a basic X check with DC Y. Roll the die value of the associated stat. If the roll is over the group stat, the roll overshoots. Oh, that's right. Overshooting was the thing. Overshooting's not a thing anymore. If the value of a non-overshot roll, okay. That's not a thing anymore. If I have a non-overshot roll is greater or equal to Y, the check passes. So I just need to say if the result of a roll is greater than or equal to Y, the check passes. Basic checks do not have any successful to them, and they are either pass or fail. Overshot rolls suffer a... Nope, overshot was removed. Some players may wish to add a crit state to basic checks. If they choose to do so, we recommend to set a crit value to 2 higher and or 2 lower than the DC. Another option is to have a middle state for rolling exactly on the DC. For example, as John locks, picks, breaks, but the door does open. Well, yeah, we'll get rid of that for now. I don't know if I can balance the numbers around crits yet. John is attempting to unlock a door with his lockpicks. The DC to unlock the door is 4. John has a D8 in dexterity and a finesse value of 5 or 6. Oh, that's right, because I had a group stat versus individual. I have not yet figured out how to do that yet. So maybe later. Okay. He rolls a 5 and unlocks the door. Robin, I don't need the second one. This is good enough. Okay. An opposed ability check does not have a set DC because the DC is dependent on an opposing entity's stats. In this case, both sides of the conflict roll their relevant stats. The success level of an opposed roll is equal to the difference in these values. Opposed rolls are treated as... I don't know what I was going to say there. The success level of an opposed roll is equal to the difference in the values and is called the opposed success level, or OSL. Example, John has escaped the prison cell and is now attempting to convince the guard who's caught him to accept a bribe and let him go free. John rolls a convince check using Suave. He has a D6 in Suave and rolls a 4. I'll get rid of this sentence. The guard has a D8 in confidence. He rolls a 7. Oh, that's right. I thought about maybe having overshooting be like just a worse success, which doesn't make sense. John succeeds with an SL of... an OSL if he rolled a 4. 1. Okay. Roll tier. Roll tier. No, get rid of those. I do kind of want this to be on a new page, so we'll just get that down there. Okay. I don't think I have any issues with any of this. Conditions. Below are a list of conditions that are checked by a variety of abilities and effects. Golden grip, like the strength of a Legend of Old, your strength is double the requirements to wield a weapon or hold a particular item. Oh. Yeah, we can keep this. That'll be useful somewhere. Is there any other basic rules that need to be done? We can do something for Control-Shift-E. No, E. There we go. Roll. This is heading 2, and these are heading, what, 1? Yeah, fuck it. Roll sizes. A roll size is the die and value and modifier used is the stat size, stat level of the roll in question. For example, fuck it, we'll add a Mael for the memes. Mael has a strength of D6, which is the size of her strength wound roll. Some abilities note that if she had a 10 plus D4 strength instead, no, note that a size like 10 plus D4 is a different size than D4, as the modifier is modifier as the additional 10 is part of the size. It's included in the size. Okay, something like that. Basic ability checks, opposed ability check. Roll sizes, roll tiers. Ugh. Okay. Let's see. So I think we got roll sizes, we got roll tiers. Let's check the notes. Okay, let's do weapon redesign next. So I think that's right. I think all that's been correct. We went through the actions again. I think I need to add more reactions. Oh, I need to specify before I forget in the keywords that to add, we'll put an asterisk here. Oh, canceled. Thank you. Put an asterisk or a tilde. Note the fact that you can refocus / react at each step of a move action. Okay, and then we're gonna go back to reactions. So we got deflective dodge. I like the idea of there being a non-dodge movement one. My only worry is trying to figure out how to handle it, because it's gonna be a whole. I haven't yet done multi-man combat, but I feel like it's gonna be a clusterfuck. And so I'm kind of worried that if I give them too many movement tools, that it becomes too abusable with the action economy. So giving a movement reaction Okay, I think here's where I add the attack one. We're gonna do one called what would I name the attack of opportunity in this? Snipe or I don't know. We'll do snipe for now. Description, group, attack. Cost is, we're gonna say 3 stamina. Focus. No change. Okay, wait, no, hold on. I didn't change this. This should be a prereq. A combatant is striking you within your peripheral. The striking combatant. That's how that should be worded. And we're just going to copy that, and we're going to paste that here. And then the focus should be none. I'll say same. And then prereq, or I'll just try no change, fuck it. And then the prereq is going to be a combatant who you are focused on, you have in focus, who is not focused on you. And then in here, we're going to go in and add a note on move. Another thing that needs to get noted. Moving to a space you do not have in focus costs an extra space worth of movement. Okay. Perform a strike on... Oh, wait. No, hold on. I need to go back to... Where was it? It was in combat? Oh, I haven't fully read all this. Or was it in rules? Oh, it was in rules. I need to specify principles. Yeah, I got this principle wrong. If a feature action says you can, when the rules say you can't, you can. If a feat says you can, or a feature action says you can, when another feat says you can't, you can't. So I think the specification here is that, like, if you have a generic... So what I was about to write was, in this reaction, perform a strike on somebody, they cannot react to this. And I was about to say, well, I might make a feat that lets them do something, but the can't would override the can in this case, because it's an action saying you can't when the other action says you can. So I needed to specify that feat is the only thing that overrides a can't from a can, only on another feat. Perform a strike on the focused combatant. They cannot react. You must strike did they pick the location? That'd be a pretty easy. Maybe it could get abused. Um, yeah, something like that. So it's just like this in AOO, basically. And I don't think I need any of this. We already know this. One tier is a little strong. Oh no, it's only reduction. So actually that's just fine. Oh, that's what the distribution looks like for a disadvantage. Nice and extreme, and I'm assuming this is advantage. Yeah, that's advantage. Nice and extreme as well. Okay, so I think that's done entirely by another character. When targeted, treat the spaces they are in as their space for any relevant effects. Additionally, there are sizes larger than those listed, but they require special rules that are to be determined. Okay. Don't think I have an issue with this. Body, tiny, small, medium, large, huge, giant, arm. Focus is 6 realms' way of handling line of sight. Instead of having a cone of vision, characters generally assume to have 180-degree vision with complete rotation, effectively making it 360, but in particularly intense situations such as combat, focus is enabled to track what a character is paying attention to. This allows effects like backstabs, ADSs, and tunnel vision to be integrated without needing to draw the character's FOV cone or similar. Even though the character is assumed to have 180-degree vision, this does not prohibit them from fully rotating to pick new targets, such as when declaring an action. It is merely there to check for peripheral vision while their focus is held. When both performing the chosen quick action and locking in the chosen full action, most abilities will list a focus target. The player must shift their focus to any legal target in line with the stated action. Focus is tracked typically with a small object, die, or other unique signifier to a character which is placed on the map on the space of the focus's target. If a focus effect states any as the target, the combatant may choose their target. Note that if the new focus target of an action is the same as the previous target, it does not count as shifting focus. Shifting only occurs when the target of the focus changes. If an ability lists self as the focus target, the character in question either looks down, closes their eyes, blocks their vision. Hold on. The player must shift their focus to any legal target in line with the stated action. Focus. Shifting. Shifting focus is the process of changing focus from one target to another. Shifting, I don't know, someone else is gonna put here. Holding focus is the process of keeping focus on a target when given the opportunity to shift. Okay, so now we'll say the player must shift or hold their focus to any legal target in line with the stated action. Focus is tracked typically with a small object, die, or other unique signifier to a character which is placed on the map on the space of the focus's target. If a focus effect states any as the target, the combatant may choose their target. Note that if the new focus target of an action is the same as the previous target, it does not count as shifting focus, but rather holding. Shifting only occurs when the target of a focus changes. If an ability lists self as the focus target, the character in question either looks down, closes their eyes, blocks their own vision, looks at what they're holding, or in some way looks away from their surroundings such that they're considered to be blind. Such they're considered just not to be blind, just to have no peripheral. They're not blind, they can see, they just don't have a peripheral vision. In the sixth realm, combat is done in rounds, which are split into 2 phases, the quick and full action phases, respectively. At the end of each round, if there are still 2 or more factions intent on fighting, a new round is started. At the beginning of the quick phase, players determine initiative by rolling a perception roll and resolving turns in ascending order. This is done to represent how more perceptive characters will be given more information for their decision making. On a combatant's turn during the quick phase, a combatant chooses the quick action they wish to perform. Order of operations. A combatant spends any points required to activate their chosen action. A combatant checks if their focus shifts due to the new action. A combatant completes the quick action. A combatant locks in their full action. A combatant shifts their focus in line with the full action. It's worth noting that some quick actions are hidden, so enemies may not inform the player of what they're doing or vice versa. Once hidden, they will write down the specific full action they intend on doing during the proactive phase. Each action will have an explicit set of statements that must be made as part of the target of an action. When stating a target, the combatant will take a note somewhere. Each action will be an explicit set of statements that must be made as part of the target of an action. When stating a target, the combatant will take note somewhere the exact... Okay, that's just a completely not even explained. The full action phase is resolved in speed from highest to lowest. Each combatant... did I specify? Each combatant rolls their relevant speed depending upon their locked-in action. Starting with the fastest action, combatants will reveal their declared action and begin acting accordingly, providing ample time for any interrupting abilities or effects to occur. If there are any decisions that must be made in order for the action to be completed, they are done now. The DM sets the current speed to the max speed value of the highest speed value among the combatants. The DM lists off the current speed. Starting with the combatant with the highest speed stat, combatants declare if they are taking an action. Combatants who have no unrevealed actions must pass. The combatant declares they're taking an action. They are now the active combatant. They may only do so if their action is legal. Jump to 4. The current speed is 0. The round ends. Declare the current speed by 1 and jump to 2. Decrement by the current speed by 1 and jump to 2. Active combatant takes their turn. There's the name of the locked in action. Abilities on declaration occur. Any other relevant combatants may choose their reactions. The combatant performs their revealed action as reactions is resolve. Jump to 2. In the thick of combat, violence drowns out the noise of calm. Strategizing is done in quick and yells and intense screams. While in combat, players cannot speak or communicate about anything related to combat or strategy without the use of actions or feats. It is assumed that any verbalization not spent with actions is enveloped by the noise of battle and is rendered void. Fighting multiple combatants is difficult. Constantly managing neutral while also attempting to get successful hits is borderline impossible unless you're exceptionally skilled. For each enemy that is engaged with a combatant that the combatant is not focused on, all of that combatant's rolls get subtracted by 2. I'll say to a minimum of 1. We'll keep it as 2 for now, but it might need to get dropped. When a weapon hits another weapon, the attacker deals damage to the hit weapon equal to the result of the strength test plus the weapon's durability. A weapon hits another weapon, the attacker deals damage to the hit weapon equal to the result of a strength plus the weapon's durability. If the result is double the attacked weapon's durability, the weapon is damaged. When a weapon hits armor, the attacker rolls a strength check and adds the weapon's durability. The result is more than the armor if the armor is damaged. When it hits a body location, ignore all armor at the location whose coverage rating is less than the attacking minus the attacking weapon's size. If a hit weapon or armor has any overrun locations available, access damage to them to the hit item over its durability is dealt to the overrun location. When an action is at the reaction step, any relevant combatants may spend the cost of the legal action to interrupt the active combatant. An action is at the reaction step. Yeah, I think I do need to split these stats differently. So, you roll the dex to hit, they roll the dex to block, they block by some amount. Let's say it's by 2, so you only get like 2 to get in. Then you roll strength, and when you roll strength, they'll say they have the exact same weapon, so all you're doing is rolling strength, and that's how much damage you're going to do. Let's imagine you roll strength, and it's like a, I don't know, a 2. Okay, cool. Or let's say a 1, so the numbers aren't the same. So we're going to deal 1 plus it's currently the weapon's durability to the weapon, which is just going to be overloaded damage to the person behind it. But really, it should be there should be a damage number. Oh. So we can use the leftover dex to check against armor. Okay, keywords. Wound roll. Yeah, we're gonna take this section and we're just gonna paste that right on top of this. Okay, we'll have to reread that. So I think the way that fuck, I actually do think I do need a damage number. Because it's not enough to just do durability, because it's Durability doesn't explain enough. Um, okay. Let's go to the weapons. Each weapon has a class, range, damage values, and a set of traits. There's a bit more to it at this point. Um, let's insert one row above. We're just gonna eliminate that and add hammers. Is there a way to freeze specific ones? Okay. Dagger, swing, thrust, 1/1. Okay. Okay. Let's do 2+ material. Okay. Oh man, this part of the design is going to be difficult. I can feel it. So I want the damage type to be break, bleed, etc. But if axes are bleed and knives are bleed, it doesn't tell me much about how it interacts with armor, which is super important. So, um, maybe I make that a trait. If I stack traits, does it expand to do this? Uh, Additional formatting? No. Auto expand cell to fit text. Cells format auto fit column width. Format. Where's the auto fit? Okay, do we have something other than color? Nope. Cool. Auto fit, expand to fit cell, Google Sheets. Text wrapping and set it to wrap. Toolbar. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And then let's go through. I feel like the damage type should indicate how well it does against the armors. So I think I might just need to expand them out of just break and bleed. Um so I think we do, first off, I like the idea of having more extreme versions of the same damage type. So like bleed versus gore, or like hack versus hew, or something like that. So I feel like that's a pretty easy way to indicate the strength of a weapon. I feel like axes should be fucking nasty. Um, let's do this. Let's have. I like. Um, okay, so I think swing sword attacks should be bleed, and I think stab sword attacks should be gore. Um, Let me wipe this damage type column real quick. Clear a column. There we go. Good. Okay, then we'll name this damage type. And then we're gonna add a single column to the left called damage, I guess. Let's not overcomplicate it. All right. So we have bleed and we have gore. We can add those real quick. Bleed, gore, bleed, gore, bleed, gore. Cool. Then I want to do. So gore is like a fine point stab. That's Gore's idea. Gore's whole bit is, well, actually, it's going to work out for swords being the stab weapon, where it's a small vector attack that gets deep. That's going to be the whole idea. So gore attacks will like hit weak points basically. So the whole, I don't know how mechanically I'm going to do it, but gore shouldn't do as good against limbs, but should do very good against like torso and head. Whereas bleed is just it's just bleed. You're gonna lose that much like blood every turn, and it's just gonna be a relatively small number, I think. Yeah, I think that's how I'm gonna do it. And then typically, at least, and then after we got, so gore is gonna fuck you, bleed is gonna decently fuck you, And then I think we do. I kind of like hue, but I don't know if people have the. I don't know if people have the word association that I have with hue. Um, let's see. Let's go on these fucking dog shit thesaurus websites and see if we can find a better word. Cleave is pretty good. Cleave is not a. We could go with cleave. Okay, it's not losing its shit because it's just no different. Okay. So bleed, I like cleave. I think cleave should basically be like an amputation thing. You're just like, you are fucking hacking away at it. And then let's see. Bleed, cleave, gore. I don't feel like axes. Yeah, I feel like axes should be cleave. That makes sense to me. Any axe, any kind of like sharp warhead. I honestly might make the Zweihander do cleave instead of bleed. And then just reduce the damage number so that it doesn't get, and then give it traits that make it worse against armor. Oh no, these are supposed to indicate their usefulness against armor. I mean, axes aren't supposed to be good against plate, which is what Zweihanders aren't supposed to be good against either. And then you're gonna get the strength penalty from rolling with a Zweihander anyways, which is where the axe will shine because it does get to utilize your full strength. So I think it'll be okay if I make them both cleave, actually. Bleed is supposed to be like you're making them bleed. Just reduced thing. Maybe I replace bleed with cleave because it sounds cooler, and then I just make their bleed numbers smaller, which is the same thing as cleave. I don't know yet, but then I like the idea of the spike one. The spike one's got to be gore, and then you just make that thing a fucking monster of a weapon. Oh, I'm trying to figure. Sorry, I got sidetracked. All right, so then we have damage type. We got cleave. We have gore. We have bleed. I like the idea of having crush, where crush is our like. That's our. that's our fucking bludgeon attack. Is just crush. You're just fucking beating the shit out of something. That explains why like plate dents so well. Explains why it's fucking shattering your bones. I also kind of like the word crater. I feel like both are an equal level of like, oh god. Um, and then Swing is an axe head versus a spike head. Flat head versus a spike head. Okay, accuracy. So this was supposed to be the number that is how pinpoint it was to bypass the hole in the armor. Um, what do I do here? Um, so part of me, the way I want the math to work in my head, and I'm trying to figure out if I can lapse this into one number. But the math is that I want to take the accuracy number and I want to compare it to the coverage rating of the armor. And if it's less than it, or sorry, if it's more than it, then it can actually penetrate it can actually fit through the hole. And then for whatever the difference is between the two, you have to beat it by that much or something. Where like basically the more accurate the weapon, the easier it is to find that hole, as opposed to like, but it's impossible if you're below or if you're below it, basically. Um, but I keep inverting the numbers and it's getting fuzzy in my head. I feel like the accuracy. Um, I feel like the accuracy in the gap size should be small. The accuracy is actually the size of weapon head, and the gap is gap size. Um, and then as long as you're underneath that value, you're good to go. Um, um, okay. I'm gonna have to go to bed soon. Fuck me. Um, knives, dagger, swing, thrust, rapier, swing, thrust, winder, swing, thrust, pommel. Pommel should be crater. Leave gore, bleed gore. I'm missing something. Um, so no, the Zweihander should be bleed. Because axes are really good against going against the leather armor, and my understanding is that most great swords don't do very well against armor. It is a two types of leather. Hardened cuir brulee shape is a kind of dish and 5 millimeter thick. A softer buff leather of an unspecified form and thickness, probably flat. The buff leather was penetrated by this simulated blade at 90 joules of energy, less than a pole axe stroke, significantly more than a sword swing. Um, well, leather armor can be a lot of different things, but from slightly thicker leather clothes to layers of boiled leather. Piercing 2 layers of boiled leather with a coating worn over it. Gambison surprisingly hard. Powerful warbow with 110 plus pound draw will struggle even at distances as short as a dozen paces. Um, okay. Even a very heavy slicing weapon like a Dane axe with both hands is not particularly likely to pierce boiled leather. Add this is the leather armor, helmets, particular reinforced metal straps or plates to provide additional protection against slicing weapons. Wait, was really leather armor really getting against axes too? Is that the one directly above this? Yeah, it was. Alright, let's see what this is. Playback speed, 2x. Is there times? Okay. Wow. Okay, that was not nearly as helpful as I'd hoped it'd be. Shout out to the channel though. Seemed like a decent guy. What if great swords had armor piercing on light attacks for Fat Shark? Oh, okay, I don't cover this. Sword and spear versus Gambison. Okay, armor tests. All right, hold on. Oh my god. Okay. How is it so low and so loud? Jesus Christ. How blunt is your sword though? Yeah, but that sword looks so blunt. Okay, I don't care what this is. Uh, um. Okay. So I think for what I want to do, let's ignore the realism a little bit. I think that swords have a lot of utility in them, and they're pretty good defensive weapons. They have a good amount of variety, versatility. I don't think that they should do very good against most armor. Um, you're going to be using the point for most armor if you can help it. I think that axes are going to be pretty good against uh, cloth, and then can like hack at plate, but you like dent it and you like blunt the axe. And then Warhammer is just your go-to. I'm going to break a bone weapon, but it costs more stamina, and it doesn't like it's very like isolated to the locations because bleed is going to be better across the board. And then for daggers, daggers do nothing against armor, but you get a good chance of slipping them in the gaps. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I think I should make this 9, whatever that ends up meaning. And then I think the way the math should work is you take the size, the gap size of the armor, and you subtract it from the size of the weapon. And if it's whatever the difference, you have to beat it by, or you have to get double that, right? So if it's like, if the gap size is like 1, but you roll the 1 with the dagger, then you only need to beat it by like 2, maybe. Um, Whereas if you have like, um, oh wait, no, how do I word this? It's if you subtract the gap from the arm from the weapon. Okay, if the weapon accuracy is greater than the armor gap value or cover rating, you subtract it out and then you double that number, and that's what you have to beat the SL by. So if it only is by 1, then you only have to beat it by 2, right? So that the smaller weapons have a better chance of getting in on those things. And then if let's see, how would we look at the math of this? If we had like a accuracy of like 10, and then the coverage rating stops at like 6. Oh, then that's 4. You need 8. That works opposite the way I want it to. Maybe you have an accuracy number and then the gap size is small. Oh, that doesn't make sense. Fuck me. If you have a small gap size and a small weapon size and you subtract it from each other, fuck, I really want to fit this in one number. I can just figure out the formula. Oh god, I'm getting tired. Fuck, I did not get nearly as much done as I wanted to. Okay. Fuck, I'm like falling asleep. Yeah, fuck me. Okay. My brain's fried. I can't seem to think straight, and I'm tired. When I go to sleep, I'm gonna reset, and I'll come back tomorrow night. We'll see how much we can get done. I have Tuesday and Wednesday night, and then Thursday I'm taking off for Silk Song. Friday I'm probably gonna take off for Silk Song, maybe Saturday as well, and then come back Sunday. On the next 2, maybe 3 days, I probably have to work some part Saturday, I think, on this. I might also do a half and half where I work for a few hours on Thursday and a few hours on Friday, and then on my off time, I'm playing Silk Song. That might be what I do. We'll see. Either way, I'm gonna try to hit this playtest on Sunday. Let's look at our list. We have list of feats and content. We'll get there. Run the math on a variety of combat. TTS scene. Oh, that's gonna be shouldn't be too difficult to set up. I'm probably gonna set that up on the last day or the day before the last day, probably Saturday. Run the math. That's gonna be. I'm gonna run that trial probably Wednesday. Math out everything is a meaningless checkpoint. Tag feats as learnable or not in the middle of combat. I don't care about that right now. That's a later problem. Tag races, weapons, cultural feat. I honestly might even make only like one other race. We might be super bare bones here. We might just do a single. Just don't even worry about your race. You're human. Move on. Redo weapons and add more. Yep, that needs to happen. Add armor, add races. Question. I do want to get 1 or 2 other races as a point of health comparison. So I might do like an elf and a dwarf, or like an elf and a halfling or something like that. We'll see. Maybe a dwarf and a halfling, because I assume halflings are going to be less tanky than humans, and then dwarfs will be more. So I'll probably do something like that. And then we have to rebuild the scenario. Scenario rebuilding. Let me do a quick look at this. Lost Mines of Phandelver. Please select an adventure to view. But I did. Lost Mine of Phandelver. The adventure for 4 to 5, characters level 1. During the course of the adventure, the character will advance to 5th level. Oh, fuck, it's a long adventure. The adventure is set in a short distance from the city. You've never entered in the Sword Coast region of the Forgotten Realms setting. The Sword Coast is part of the north, a vast realm of free settlements surrounded by wilderness and adventure. More than 500 years ago, a clan of dwarves and gnomes made an agreement known as the Phandelver's Pact, by which they would share a rich mine in a wondrous cavern known as Wave Echo Cave. In addition to its mineral wealth, the mine contains great magical power. Human spellcasters allied themselves with the dwarves and gnomes to channel and bind that energy into a great forge called the Forge of Spells, where magic items could be created. Times were good in the nearby human town of Phandalin. But when the disaster struck, when the orcs swept through the north and laid waste to all their other path, a powerful force of orcs, reinforced by evil mercenary wizards, attacked Wave Echo Cave to seize riches and magic treasures. Human wizards fought alongside their dwarf and gnome allies to defend the fortress spells in the ensuing battle. Few survived. The cave-ins and tremors, and the location of the Wave Echo Cave was lost. Part 1 is Goblin Arrows. They ventured on the road to the town of Phandalin when they stumbled upon a goblin ambush. They discovered that the goblins, who belonged to the Cragmaw tribe, have captured their dwarf friend, Gundren Rockseeker, and his escort, a human warrior named Sildar Hallwinter. Those are some names. The characters must deal with the ambushers and then follow their trail back to the goblins' hideout. To rescue Sildar and learn from him that Gundren and his brothers discovered a famous lost mine. Sildar knows only that Gundren and his map have taken to somewhere called Cragmaw Castle. Okay, part 2 is Phandalin with a gang that they're fighting off. Part 3. There's someone called the Black Spider. Part 4 is Wave Echo Cave. Okay. So it's a goblin ambush on part 1. That should be pretty easy to redo. Oh my god, you got ambushed by goblins. Wow. And you gotta go clear a goblin hideout. Okay, that's actually perfect for this. Super simple, narratively easy to run. A little bit of storytelling bits, and then... yeah. I don't see any issues with this. Okay. I would just have to figure out a way to port them in. Make them hex based. And then make some goblin stat sheets. Okay. All right. Good to know. I'll keep that in mind. And I will see you guys tomorrow.